Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I'm so blessed and honored to have Monika Cain on the show with us today, talking about her expat journey within global mobility. I just excited to have this conversation. Monika, how are you doing today?
I'm really well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm amazing, amazing. And if you're watching us right now, thank you. Hit that like button right now. Get in the comments. I want to know about your expat journey, your relocation journey. If it's been within the US, have you been outside the US? Have you been outside the US for an extended period of time? Are you maybe from outside the US? And how has that kind of informed your experience within the global mobility industry at large? I want to know what's going on. Check in the comments, who you are, where you are, what you're up to right now. I got to ask you, Monika, where in the world are you right now?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Whereabouts in Connecticut? We got Jillian Guzda on our team from Connecticut. Where in Connecticut are you?
I'm about 20 minutes from Jillian. I believe she's in Danbury.
Yeah, she's in, I think,
Yeah.
New Fairfield, technically. Yeah, exactly. Danbury, which is kind of like the unofficial epicenter of the global mobility universe, or it has been for a while. Although I'm lobbying lately for Dallas to be the new epicenter. Yeah, checking in here. Michael Quigley. Hello, Monika and Ben. What's up? Hit that like button. Get in the comments. Check in with us here. Mini Moves in the house. What's up, Mini Moves? Good to see y'all. Rob Zeitz, Wicked Smart from Cambridge, Mass. Air Inc. in the house. Love it. Fantastic. Now, Monika, you weren't always from. Is that a hold on? Is that a Connecticut accent I detect right now?
No, I doubt that.
So, where are you from originally, Monika?
So, for those who followed my LinkedIn post, probably they already know I'm very vocal and proud to be a foreign national. So, I'm originally from Poland, and it's coming on 20 years that I've lived in US. Yep, just a few more months. So, in few more months, I will be living longer in US than I did in Poland.
Is that like a tipping point, where you're like, I know for me, when I was married longer than I was not married, like when I was with my wife longer than I wasn't, like I was like, oh, okay, now like is that a tipping point for you? At some point, do you identify as one or the other, first primarily?
So, you know what? The whole topic of identity over the last few years has been actually weighing more heavily on me. Maybe
Why
it's
is that?
because of so much time has passed by. And until a few years ago, I still played around with the thought with my spouse. We talked about potentially moving back before our daughter turns 10. We sent her to Polish school on Saturdays. She hated me for that, but did very well during the time that she attended the school here in Connecticut, in Derby. But I think after a while, just traveling to Poland on an annual basis and hearing certain things from my close ones, like my mom, hey, you don't think the same way, or we wouldn't say that, or a few years ago you wouldn't maybe act this way. So that's I really took that some of those words close to my heart. And probably summer of not so much last year but 2022, when we came back from being there for a few weeks, I really was thinking a lot about who am I right now? Because I still like to say I'm going back home, right? When we book
Right.
the flights and we are ready to start packing, I say I'm going back home. I still feel like I'm polishing hard. But just hearing things like that from, someone who is so close to me, like my mom was always my best friend. So it hurt and made me think about it, because on one side I miss that country still so much after such a long time. I miss my family. So to hear that I don't think the same way. I say certain things I wouldn't maybe say years ago. Just really made me think, am I becoming more American than I'm Polish?
Right. When you were over there for a few weeks and it was time to leave, did you find yourself thinking, I want to go home, it's time for us to get back? Did you use home going in reference to America as well?
So you know what? That's actually a very interesting question, because normally leaving it's so hard, because you never know, especially after COVID, you never know what world has type of plans for us, and when will I be able to go back again. So leaving it's always hard. But I will tell you, over the last few trips, because normally we stay closer to 3 weeks, my daughter and I. But after like 2 weeks, I'm ready. Yeah. To just go back to like that normal life, even work at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, to be honest with you, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting. And it reminds me kind of, my wife identifies as a New Yorker, but she's lived away from New York longer than she's lived in New York. And now when she goes to visit New York, she'll go for a few weeks over the summer. You know, every summer she takes the kids, goes up there, spends time with her family and everything. By about week 1.5, she's calling me like, I just want to go home. I miss our house. I miss this, you know, and it's funny what home is and what makes home. Get in the comments. I want to hear from you if you're watching this right now. What makes home? What makes that feeling of home? And have you had that feeling for home for multiple places, maybe at the same time? You know, I'm really curious about this. This is interesting. Get in the comments here. I want to know what makes home for you. Doug Gallardo checking in from NYC. Good to be joining. We got some folks on the LinkedIn. Hit that like button here. Jillian Guzda tuning in from CT. Love your LinkedIn post. So I'm excited to hear from you. Jill, you got some Polish in your family there, don't you, Jill?
Guzda
Is that Polish? Is that a Polish last name?
sounds Polish.
We've got Jana Szezanowski on our team as well, who is Polish. Her mother's 100% Polish. Farrell Elliott checking in from hot California. Looking forward to Monika's story. Aseret from Joyce Van Lines in Indianapolis in the house. Aseret, this is another good example. College, right? I mean, gosh, college just holds such a near and dear place in everyone's heart. You know, those years are so formative and magical. And she says, my college town feels like home, but in a different way. My hometown feels like home. Yeah, for sure. And then you go back to your college is a perfect example. You go back to it like at 40, I'm 41 now, right? I go back to college and I look at it, it's like not even the same place anymore. It's changed so much. And then how do I feel about it? Is it still my home? Jill Sam, her dad's 100%. Yeah. So what makes it home for you? And I want to get into your story more in depth, but I want to stay here just for a moment because home is a feeling that we all have. What makes it home or not home for you nowadays, Monika?
So to me, it's family, right?
Yeah.
Home is where the heart is, and I truly believe that. And when we decided that we are staying here, we won't be moving, I really put time and effort into making house a home, making it more homey, making it mine. Because to be honest with you, 4 years after we moved in, I haven't done much like painting or really updates to the house. It just didn't feel fully mine. So even physical aspects, right, get impacted by what your mind thinks at the given time and like how you feel. But I couldn't just allow for my family be impacted by that. I had to make it a home for my daughter, right? That's where my family is. She was cute probably until she was like 4 or 5. She was cute
until she was 4 or 5.
No, she used to say she's Polish like mama when she was probably up to 4 or 5. So then we had to break it down to her. You were born in the United States, you're American like daddy.
So let me ask you, so now we talk about going to the US. So how did you get to the US? What was that transition like for you? What brought you to the US?
Well, that's a good question. According to my mom, I was that 5-year-old looking at Miami Vice on the TV screen and saying that that's where I'm gonna go. So
Miami Vice
apparently,
brought you to. That's great.
I always wanted to visit Miami. But no, to jokes aside, I really wanted to study English. I loved art, and languages was something that I really enjoyed as well. I tried to learn Spanish on my own in Poland, watching telenovelas, writing down the words that I could catch, and translation in Polish. So yes, languages and art, it's something that always fascinated me. So I came to US to be an au pair. So that was
Okay.
the
So you
perfect.
weren't going to be a narcotics detective. You came as an au
No,
pair.
no, no, no,
I just want to make
no.
sure how much of the show you were true. Okay, I understand.
No, just fascinated by, I think, the vibe. And I always had something for Latin culture,
Yeah,
food, dance, music. It's
sure.
all amazing. But yes, I came to be an au pair. That was a way, affordable way that I could do that, right? That was the first time at the age of 19, almost turning 20, that I actually left Poland.
So I'm super curious about this au pair thing because I've had friends that have done this, who have hired au pairs. How does that arrangement, before we get on, how does that arrangement work? I mean, it seems like an enormous commitment for both sides.
It is, I'm sure. Most the family that I joined had au pairs before me. It's something that they were used to already.
Mm-hmm.
For me to live with strangers was a little bit interesting at times, but you really need to just be flexible and appreciate. I came from a place that I never thought I could travel to United States. Like I said, that was the first time I ever left Poland. So it was really something that I appreciated. I loved children. I always used to take care of neighbors' kids. So it came to me naturally. The family was very nice. I stayed with them for a year here in Connecticut,
So,
actually.
so do you get to do you get the weekends to yourself, or like how much time is your time versus, I mean, because you're living in someone's home
Mhm.
as a caregiver. So how much time is your time? How much time do you have to yourself?
So you really become a part of the family. And that's what I wanted. I really wanted to immerse myself in a culture, learn language, be able to travel with the family. And that was important to me. I didn't come here. Sometimes you see au pairs just partying on weekends. That's
That's what
not
I
what I
would do, if I was an
that's
au pair.
not what I came here for. I really enjoyed spending time with family. I did make friends. It was amazing. A lot of girls from Latin America that I've met. We are still friends till today with some of them. But that diversity and just immersing myself in a culture was really something I wanted to bring back to Poland with me.
Okay. Okay. So you came as an au pair, and then how did you translate that into a career in global mobility?
Yes, so at first, why did I even stay in the States, right? I met my husband,
Oh.
and talking about love and relo, uh, love at first sight, I guess you could say. And yes, we got married in OMG almost 16 years ago at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
Love and Relo should actually be a matchmaking service for au pairs, is what I'm hearing. Okay, I'll make a note of that.
yeah, I so after I met my husband, I went to school over here. I started going to college. I started a degree in Poland, so I wanted to continue that here. And I naturally was drawn to people from other countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I heard an accent,
Sure.
I felt like that's going to be my friend. So I met someone who was from Albania and actually worked for RMC in Danbury. So when I learned about the industry and all those great services, ability to work with people from all over the world, and I'm not talking only about the transferees, the employee, but just other counselors and people that environment that RMC had, it just sounded too good to be true, because I felt like that's going to be an environment where I can find myself, where I can feel like I belong. Other people with accent and culture and just bringing that diversity. So actually, I interviewed, and the moment we walked out of the interview, I was told, "You did great. You will be hired." I was shocked. It was my first corporate America interview. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't even tell a family that I worked with that I was interviewing. Obviously, they were very happy for me, and I never looked back. So I've been
So
in
you
global
got the
mobility.
job. You got the job at the
Yeah,
RMC.
yep, the very first interview ever.
Wow. Hit that like button. If you're watching right now, hit that like button. If you've got questions for Monika, I want to hear them in the comments. Get in there if you're curious about her journey and what it's like to move from, say, Poland to the United States and to build community and how you identify. I mean, throw it in the comments here. Check in with us here. Let us know who you are, where you are. We want to give your company a shout out. Annie Ream checking in from Gloma HQ, sunny Dallas. What's up, Annie? Good to see you checking in here. Janet Turner, congrats to Monika in her new role and looking forward to learning more. Hey, Janet, thank you so much. Get in the questions. Get in the comments with some questions. Janet, Annie, Aseret, congrats on 16 years. Look at that. People are loving your story here. So you get, excuse me. So you get the job at the RMC. Was it like what you thought it was going to be like?
I don't I don't think I had any expectations for the job itself, but the environment I was in, like my coworkers, my colleagues, I will tell you, it was the best group of people I ever worked with.
Wow.
I work with some great people right now as well, but just the beginning in the corporate America environment and how welcome everyone was and that diversity. Our team represented five continents out of seven of
Wow.
them. So we had people from all over the world speaking different languages, the culture, the food. It was great. The celebrations that we had in the office, it was really a great bunch to work with. And I was there for 11 years at that RNC.
Wow.
Yep.
And the reason I ask is because I work with young people who are globally minded and they hear about global mobility. And I don't know what they think it's going to be like. I think that they think it's going to be like International Man of Mystery or your Carmen San Diego or something, and you get to go around. I think that that's what they think. You're going to be some attaché somewhere, and really it's not that. And I think sometimes young people might be a little disappointed because while you're dealing with global citizens, you're not going there. You're doing it from Danbury, Connecticut or Dallas, Texas. You're doing it from a cubicle somewhere, and you get exposed to these really cool people and their stories.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it always scratches that itch for people. But here you are coming from another country here. So I guess in a way you kind of were accomplishing that and living that dream. Actually, you were living your global mobility journey while doing it. How did your experience as a foreign national inform your global mobility professional career?
So I loved listening to people's stories and like really getting to know them. And it wasn't just the employee, it was the whole family and their experience. So myself leaving everything behind, leaving my family behind, because right now I have here my daughter and my husband. Everybody else,
Wow.
it's back in Poland, right? So I totally understand what it means to spend holidays away, to go through sad moments away from the family, from the close ones. So really for me, it was connecting with families and understanding their needs, and then utilizing the program, the policy to meet those needs.
Mm-hmm.
So my calls were never, as a counselor, were never, okay, so here's the policy, this is what you get. No, it was really just making sure I can get to know them. And I try to use that approach even currently as account manager in client relations, like really get to know the clients I work with, their personalities, what the corporation's goals are, and work with them, trying to meet them. But I think it was one of my favorite parts as a counselor, just really getting to know the people and having that feeling of making that really difficult emotional journey just a little bit easier. If I could have accomplished that, then I was happy.
I got to imagine the empathy you're able to bring to the situation is light years ahead of someone who's never experienced that. I mean, that's a tremendous experience. And in fact, Doug Gallardo, get in the comments here. Shout out to Doug. We got Kevin checking in as well. Says, this is great. Good to be back. Kevin Ryan from Long Island. Good to see you, Kevin. Doug saying the best teacher in life and experience is life itself.
100%.
I gotta ask you, we got good questions from Annie coming in here. I want to prioritize the questions from the audience. Get in the comments with your questions. I want to hear what you want to know about Monika's story. We got Marianne checking in here. Marianne Raybold there checking in. We got Real Quest in Maryland checking in. Doug Gallardo saying the journey is admirable. But Annie's got a question. I'm going to ask it. When you were going through this and you were going into your first job in corporate America, did corporate America in the United States intimidate you?
So you know what? No. And to be honest, I never thought about that until that question popped up, right? Maybe certain personalities, and even till today, there are certain people I work with that I'm like, okay, you know it, don't let that person intimidate you, right? But my first manager was from Poland with very thick accent. My second manager, which I loved, was from Lebanon. A lot of people that I worked with were from Poland, from France, from Germany.
Wow.
It didn't intimidate me because I felt like I belonged. My accent wasn't weird anymore. Me mispronouncing something wasn't laughed at or looked at in a weird way. I appreciated what the employees were going through. I remember talking on the phone with a spouse of an employee from China. They were moving from Canada. The spouse barely knew English. I was helping her submit expense reports. Someone who I was training was listening on a call with me, and after an hour gave up, said, I'm done. He was American. I'm sorry, but he was. I stuck around with that woman. She was so happy whenever she was able to locate the right receipt. I was able to relate to what she was going through. So I really felt like I belong in that company, on that team. So no, I don't think I felt intimidated. I will admit that the policy and the program was a little bit challenging at first. I had my Polish English dictionary with me on a desk, but the fact that I also had Polish people on the team was really helpful. They were very patient with me. I used to always tell them, if I don't understand, how do you expect me to explain it to a transferee? So for me, asking questions, really digging deep was always important. And because of the team and their understanding, I was able to become a program expert, someone that the client really relied on, again, for 11 years.
Yeah, it sounds like you really found your people, like you found your tribe of people. You know, you're all kind of outsiders, but together. So you kind of created your own group, your own insider kind of group. That's really neat. And then Annie, you know, to your point, I would totally think kind of what you're thinking in this question. Like, it must be intimidating going into it. I mean, it's intimidating enough going for a job interview, going into a corporate structure where there's all these relationships, politics, you know, culture. There's a culture within the company, and I could see that being intimidating. But the thing that tends to scare me the most, and the thing that makes me the most nervous, is when I'm not prepared for a situation. And in a weird way, Monica, like you couldn't be more prepared to go into a global mobility role. So I think that might have, I mean, maybe did that contribute somewhat to your comfort level?
Yeah, no, that's very interesting perspective. I'm sure. But let's just look at the years prior to joining Global Mobility. Like I got on a plane for the first time in my life. I moved across the globe.
Yeah,
So I think there were some things I went through that probably were a little bit more intimidating than an office space, right?
such a good point. It's such a good point. I think we underestimate the sheer the will and the friction and the obstacles that are surmounted just to be here. And I think this is one of the things I think is lost in the immigrant narrative a lot too, right? When we talk about, the role and place of immigrants in our country, and if you look at just the sheer what it takes to just be here, just table stakes, they say showing up is 80%. What it takes to just be here is so much more in many ways than many native born Americans have ever given just to show up. I mean, we complain about our commute when it's over 30 minutes to the office, and to see what people do to get here is incredible. And the immigration and visa lines that they have to stand in, and the feeling. And I've heard Anandita Chaudhary, founding partner of USI Law, talk about that feeling of standing in that line um, during the visa and
Oh,
immigration
yes.
process. I mean, what is that like? Have you had that experience, Monica?
On a few occasions. On a few occasions, yes, I applied for visa in Poland and had to show up in the embassy in Warsaw. That was intimidating. That really was. And then I
Why do we
transitioned.
scare people so much in this process? Like, why is do we make it intimidating on purpose or something? It's like, because it's a uniform shared experience. It's everyone feels the same way. It's like, are we doing this on purpose on some level?
But you know what? I don't know if it's just the importance of the situation. So
Mm,
it's not necessarily the person behind the glass, right? That I'm meeting and talking to, but it's just the importance of the situation. What my mom even had to go through to help me gather the paperwork for me to even be able to apply for a visa.
mm,
Like you need X amount of money. For example, you need X amount of money in a bank account, right? We didn't have that. My mom didn't have that. She had to borrow the money from a friend, put it in a bank account just to pull out the statement to show that we had it, and then
wow.
return the money. So yeah, there is a lot going into really just getting ready for the journey and getting the paperwork submitted. And then, so as an au pair, I was on culture exchange visa. Then I transitioned to a tourist visa, to a student visa, and then permanent residency. It's something that I applied for after I got married. And currently I'm a citizen. So I've went through many different stages and different types of visas, paperwork, and yes, that process can be intimidating because how important it is. Just in a moment, the rug can be pulled from under you and everything you worked on, it's over.
Wow. Doug Gallardo says, how many of us would do that? Monica, I sense a book in the making, maybe in a different language. Super interesting. Farrell Elliott checking in the Mobility Hub, Danbury for a short time. Great experience, but it never felt like home. Can't imagine relocating to a completely different country, given how hard it was just to move within the U.S. Do we underestimate us U.S. born folks who just move around the country and complain about it all the time? Do we underestimate how challenging a foreign assignment is, an international assignment?
And that's interesting point because what I notice sometimes in global mobility, especially at the leadership level, on the program side, we have people who maybe had 2 or 3 months assignment and not taking away from the experience that they have gained and exposure. I'm sure that's tremendous comparing to some others, because they maybe don't even have that. But the 2 or 3 months, you weren't away from your family on holidays. You didn't miss a death of somebody close in probably such a short period of time. So to really be away from the family for years and years and years, it's totally different experience that someone who was away for 2 months just can simply connect to.
Excellent points. Excellent points. Yes, we do. I mean, it's funny. We do global mobility, but we tend to do it from a very U.S. centric perspective and approach. And with that, of course, we bring our U.S. centric biases and limitations with it. Doug's saying, yeah, absolutely, you can sell it or talk about it, but to live it is a totally different ball game. Many moves checking in here. Thanks for helping our international team better understand the complexities of global mobility and how you have seemed to make it through the precision. Congrats hearing your story. I want to talk a little bit about some of the fun or funny stuff. You know, we like to have some fun here on the show. So you were a counselor for a long time, and you get to see some stuff. You get to see some stuff when you're in people's lives and in people's business like that. What's one of the funnier stories maybe you remember that you could share with us?
So yes, I was a counselor for a few years, and then a trainer and putting out fires. So I have seen multiple inboxes, not just mine.
Multiple
But
inboxes. I love that. Oh, that's great.
I had a personal, very interesting experience with someone who was coming from UK to US, actually Boston, Massachusetts. And yes, I do remember a lot of details about various moves from 15 years ago. And no, it's not weird. I just do. But he was coming for extended business travel. And I remember during our first call, when we ended the call, he said, you know what? I wasn't looking forward to that call, but it wasn't that bad. Like, it was really good. I'm looking forward to working with you. I think
Not that bad.
The first time when someone was that honest with me. But then after he actually arrived in Massachusetts, he was trying to ask me out for drinks on a few occasions. So
does that happen a lot? Do you start to form a relationship? Does sometimes the lines get blurry and the transferees get a little bit attached?
That was my only situation. I'll be honest. That was the only person. But the building relationships, yes. I'm still connected to people on LinkedIn right now. Even a few months ago, when I reached out, hey, congratulations on all the success. I don't even know if you remember my name, but I follow your career since I moved you years ago. I hope your sons, your wife are well. I remembered that leader because his wife was into art, just like me. So it's something that we had in common. And he messaged me back saying, of course, I remember you. To me, you are like the epitome of customer service. I could not believe. First, he remembered my name, and then anything about the support I provided to him. But yes, you end up building relationships, because I worked with people who had personal health problems and personal requests moves for that reason to get treatment in US. I worked with families whose parent passed away right before the move, and all of a sudden it's a split family situation because the other elderly parent is staying on their own. So you have some really difficult situations you need to help those families get through. And yeah, I think having that empathy and just understanding. I lost close to me family members not being there by their side, including my dad. So I truly am able to connect to what those employees are going through.
Yeah, you know, I appreciate you sharing that. You know, it's one of those things that I've discovered that I'll talk to folks in, you know, in your situation who have chosen to come to another country to set up life, to create a different life for themselves and their families. But the people that are left behind, and especially as we come out of COVID, the stories of people not being able to see their family for years, and things happening, weddings, funerals, births of children, right? Not meeting grandparents for years. It's really, it really compounds the investment that people are making in their life by becoming an expat and by pursuing that career dream. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I think it's a story that I wasn't aware of until pretty recently.
No, I appreciate you giving me the platform to talk about it, and I'll tell you, just being an expat in the industry for expats, it's just so rewarding, you know, like having any sort of impact. As a consultant, I work directly with the families. As a trainer, I trained all their consultants, right? Someone who works on program development, I can actually have a larger impact on the employees and the support that they receive. So it's very rewarding for especially someone in my situation who is away from family, tries to figure out my culture and my identity, and even years after, right, being here almost 20 years, I can really find almost like that sense of, again, belonging because of the industry that I'm in.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, it's an industry where a lot of people can find belonging, even people that haven't experienced that expat experience. I want to hop into a segment here. You've been to a lot of places, Monika, okay? More places than I've been to, okay? I want to ask you, I want to get your top 5 vacation destinations, or just destinations in general. Top 5 places that you've been to, okay? We're gonna do 2 segments. So we're gonna do a top 5, and we're gonna do an overrated, underrated with Monika, because she has such an interesting perspective here. Okay, Monika, you ready for this top 5 here?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Number 5.
Oh, number 5. So I would say something a little bit more recent. Paris.
Paris.
Yeah.
Now, I hear conflicting reports about Paris. So what did you love about Paris?
So you see, I can't give out, I guess, why it's Paris. It's on number 5 without telling you other cities I liked more, right?
Okay. All right.
But
Well, hey,
I will tell you, it has certain vibe that I appreciated. Obviously, the Eiffel Tower was amazing. So this is why it made the list. But there were certain situations, not to get again too serious, but my husband eats black and my daughter eats mixed. So as a diverse and interracial family, well, sometimes, you know, we face certain situations, and unfortunately, Paris was one of those locations. So there are some things that we really enjoyed about Paris, and this is why it's making the list at all. But I'm sure, yeah.
I want to ask you, are those types of situations more prevalent inside the U.S. or outside the U.S. when you travel?
Inside the U.S.
Inside?
Yep. There are certain locations in U.S. where we just won't travel.
Wow. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeesh. It's a bummer. I was hoping you'd say outside.
Hey, let's move on to number 4.
Moving on to number 4.
So actually, yeah, Miami. That's, you know, the place that I wanted to go to, apparently, according to my mom, since I was like 4 or 5. I think she's slightly fabricating that story, because I can't imagine in communistic Poland we had Miami Vice on TV. So it has to be a little bit later than 4 or 5, but okay.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. You know, Get in the comments if you've got opinions on these cities, if you've been to these places, if you love them, if you don't love them. I'll be honest with you. I've been to Miami several times, lived in Florida. I don't like Miami. I think I'm too fat
Hey,
for Miami. I'll be honest with you, Monica. Okay. There's a lot of beautiful people in Miami. I'm not one of them. All right. I don't fit in Miami. Okay. I want to like Miami. I want to be a person that likes Miami. I would like to be a kind of person that fits in Miami. I just don't think I am. And when I'm there, I'm very conscious of the fact I've never been in a place where I felt so out of place as probably
really?
Miami.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
like
have seen
there's
there's
everything's
so
so
many different
beautiful.
people. Yes, but I
Heidi's so
feel
pretty.
like,
Get out of here. There's too many pretty people. Get out. There should be a quota. Get out of here. Too
oh, you
many.
need to take few salsa lessons.
Did you think you know how much salsa I need to take? Shoot. Salsa got me into this problem. Chips and salsa.
I'm talking about dancing.
I don't
Salsa
know.
lessons.
I
You
might
need
need
to
some
take some
Zumba,
salsa
maybe.
lessons. Maybe you will find new appreciation for that culture.
Perhaps. I mean, I like the music. I like the Cuban food. I saw some baseball down there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, Miami. What's your favorite thing to do in Miami?
Mango Cafe on Ocean Drive.
Mango Cafe. That was a
Oh
fast one.
yeah, you have to check that out. My daughter was 18 months old. Obviously, we couldn't go inside. We were sitting outside. She was in a stroller. I have a video of that. She was in a stroller with ring that had a light on, and she was just, going at it like she's a New Jersey Shore at 18 months old. It was the cutest thing ever. So
That's awesome.
yes,
That's
yes, Mango
awesome.
Cafe, our
Does
favorite
your
place.
does your daughter like to dance, or did she like to dance when she was young?
She still does.
She
Yeah,
still does.
she's all artsy like mama.
My son loves it. My son is 5. He'll be 6 this week, 2 days. Um, but he loves to dance. Like, so we go someplace, music's on, he gets out of his seat, he's dancing. I take videos all the time. I know it won't last forever, but he loves to dance.
Oh yeah,
That's
keep
awesome.
those videos because in the next 10 years he may not have that courage of a 5-year-old.
Now, isn't it beautiful when you can dance like nobody's watching, like these kids do? How old's your daughter, if I may ask?
12. She's 12 now.
12. Awesome. All right, let's move on. Oh, look at this. People, hold on a second. People are getting in the comments here. Robin says, I love the arts and culture in Miami. Sure. I like the Art Deco, our architecture. Let's see. Rob Zeitz says, Miami tracks some greats. LeBron, Messi. Seems like Ben Cross would fit in there as another all-timer. Get out of here, Rob. Oh, you're making me blush, Rob. You're making me blush. This guy, these people. Let's see here. Annie says she always wanted to go to a Dolphins game. Dolphins have been good for like the last 2 years, and in 1972, and that's it. Annie says I wanted to move to Miami fresh out of college. Can't imagine living there now. Could you imagine living in Miami, Monica?
No, that's the good thing about vacation spots. They are supposed to remain vacation spots. Some people think that when they move, certain problems will get addressed. No.
No, not in Miami. Nobody's addressing any problems in Miami.
Vacation spots are for vacations. Yeah.
All right, let's move on here. Number 3, let's go outside the U.S. here.
Vienna. So that was our most recent international getaway just in December, and we loved it. So that's why definitely we liked it much more than Paris. Just the vibe, the streets, and I really wanted to go to see Christmas markets. That was the objective for the trip, but just the architecture and the people, it was great. We really liked the vibe.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, I hear Vienna is beautiful. It's one of those cities that people don't talk about as much, but I hear it's gorgeous. All right, let's keep it going here. Number 2.
Venice, Italy. Yes, I loved Italy in general. We went to Rome, Milan, and Venice, but Venice out of the 3 was definitely the best. It's just nothing like you can ever see anywhere else.
Is it the canals or what is it?
It gives it its own charm, right? It's almost like you feel romance just walking on cobblestones. It's and the food, and just being able to interact with people. Everyone is so welcoming. I never attended the masquerade, the season early in a year when they do masks and they dress up. I would love to witness that one day.
I might have to. When is that? Is that that's earlier in the year?
I think it's early in a year. I think it's part of the carnival, actually. I may be making it up, but that's
all we do. That's all we do on this show is make stuff up. No, that's good. I want to take my wife to Italy so bad, and my wife doesn't even have a passport, Monica. Okay, I'm like one of those typical Americans, right? My wife and kids don't have passports, so I got to get them a passport. But I want to get a trip to Italy on the calendar, maybe for her birthday. You know, maybe I can get her over there. So her birthday's in February. So this whole masquerade thing in February, you know, maybe I can make it happen here. Jillian checking in. Super Blue in Miami is a really cool immersive art exhibit. Interesting. All right, let's go. Number one.
Obviously, Poland. I know it's so lame maybe to some, but hey, Poland has some really amazing places. We have mountains, we have lakes, we have the sea, we have the salt mines. One of our recent trips.
What are the salt mines?
Oh, how about I'll message you one salt mine that can be visited, and you look that up. It's called Wieliczka, but maybe I'll send you a message with that name. Yeah, it's beautiful. But one of the recent trips that we took was Zakopane, which is Polish mountains. And they have that lake with just at the feet of the mountain, and the lake it's called Eye of a Sea. And oh my gosh, it's amazing. The hike obviously takes a few hours, steady up the hill, but my daughter made it, so any grown up I'm sure can make it.
All right, you already got me learning salsa, hiking up a mountain in Poland. You're really pushing me here. Hosea checking in here.
For living, so
I love it. Hosea checking in. Hit that like button, everybody. Get in the comments here. I want to know what you think. What do you think about Monica's top 5? We've got Paris, Miami, Vienna, Italy, Poland. Put in the comments of those 5 locations. I'm buying you a ticket. Where are you going? Paris, Miami, Vienna, Italy, Poland. Where in Poland exactly? Give us one destination. We're going to what cities to jump off our Poland trip?
You want a city from me?
Yeah.
Krakow.
Krakow, Poland. All right.
Yeah, probably the best city. The one I've liked the most, including my husband. He really enjoyed it too.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. All right. I got some destinations here. We got some people putting their bucket list stuff on there. Annie checking in here. All right. You know what? I want to play one more game with you, Monica. You ready?
Sure.
Oh, and shout out to Hosea too. I meant to say this before. Shout out to Hosea Botley. He's saying he loves Paris. Hosea and Aversal Global, his company, has sponsored the football team in Paris. No, not PSG. Forget PSG. That's old news. No, the Paris Musketeers, the American football team in Paris. And I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. They got a great club. It was an expansion team, and they were very competitive last year. And now he sponsored them. So you got to keep an eye out. Follow them on Instagram. Shout out to Hosea Botley and the Aversal team, bringing football over to Paris. Super cool. So just want to give a shout out.
And hey, next week I'm going to Monaco for GP Formula One race. So that top 5 could change.
Wow, Monaco on the list. It's another city I don't think I can keep up with. I'll tell you what. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see here. That sounds like a fun one. All right, let's get into overrated, underrated. You ready for this game, Monica?
You know what? Only if I can ask you one too. I've never seen people telling you if you were right or wrong. How come
No,
you
no, they
know
never
it?
do. They never do. They never do. It's a good part of being your own show. You get to do whatever you want. This is great here. Yeah, you can throw one in there. You know what? You can throw one in
Okay.
there. Okay. All right. You know what?
Okay.
Why don't you want to go first? You want to give
Uh,
me one? Overrated,
sure.
underrated. Here's the rules. Here's the rules. The rules are I'm going to give you a topic, overrated, you're going to tell me if it's overrated or underrated. Those are your only two options. You can't get out of it. Those are only two options, okay? The second is I will tell you if you are right or wrong. However, for this first one and this first one only, you get to tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay. So, hey, something easy breezy. Fast
Okay.
and Furious.
Fast and Furious,
Fast and
overrated,
Furious
underrated.
saga. Overrated,
The
underrated.
saga, not the first one, not any particular episode of the saga, but the entire saga is overrated or underrated. That's the question.
Correct.
Oh man. See, this is honestly, this is so funny because it's still coming out, and this is from like my childhood. I saw Fast and the Furious in high school, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I used to sneak booze into the movies, and I met President Clinton and Chelsea Clinton at the candy aisle. I mean, that's what I was working with in Chappaqua, New York. Gosh, I think it was watching Fast and the Furious 1, I think it was. Yeesh. I mean, I haven't seen one in like 15 years. I probably haven't seen one since like Fast and the Furious like 3, back when the Paul guy was still alive. I mean, but gosh, they're still cranking them out, which means they're making a ton of money at it, whether it's any good or not. I mean, I'm gonna say 9. What is it? 9? Are they up to 9 or 10 of them now? How many they got of those Fast and the Furious?
9.
9?
They are
Yee.
working on the 10th.
And they're working on 10. You know what? For the sheer longevity alone and the gross total box office sales, the longevity alone, I've never seen 10 of anything except like a WrestleMania. Okay, so I'm gonna say, you know what? Underrated.
You know what? So at least we are starting off very well because I totally agree. I love the whole saga.
You love the whole saga, huh? You watch them
Oh,
all.
yeah. Yep. Every single one, when they come out, my husband and I, we make sure it's a date night.
Let me ask you, what's your favorite episode? What's your favorite?
Oh, probably it has to be the 6th one, just because of the storyline.
The 6th
Letty
one.
coming
I like
back.
how you can pick
Oh,
them
yeah.
out. This is like talking to people about Jordans, and they're like, oh, the Jordan 11s. And you're like, how do you know which number Jordans they are for 25 years of Jordan? 25 years of Fast and the Furious or whatever, and you're picking out number 6. What happens in number 6 that makes it so dang special?
So Letty's coming back when everyone thought she died, but she lost her memory. Oh, yeah. And it's in Europe. A lot of it's in Europe.
All right, I'm going to have to watch this. You got
Oh,
me.
yeah.
But you know what? Now I feel like I have to watch 5 because 5 is probably where we think she dies, right?
No, that's 4. 5, it's in Rio. You missed 5.
5
Oh,
is in
and you're
Rio.
so
I love
behind.
how you know where all of these are, too.
And that's the beauty about them. The first 1 or 2, they were local. So I think that you have no idea what you are missing not watching the remaining ones. There was one in Dubai. They jump from those tall buildings. The car just flies through from one glass building to another and then to the third one.
I feel like you're gonna sign me up for 24 hours of Fast and the Fury. Like I'm gonna have to binge all of these, like Le Mans or something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Sign me up. I'll join you.
Oh my gosh, this is great. Annie's saying overrated. Oh my gosh, Annie.
Oh.
Adrian saying 7 billion in box office earnings. When was the first Fast and the Furious? When did that come out?
2002?
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Adrian, Google that one for me. I thought it was earlier than that because I thought I was in high school still. Maybe I wasn't. 2001. That's when I graduated. I graduated high school in 2001.
2001, yeah.
There we go. All right, so I'm not totally lying. All right, awesome. Not totally lying is the best you get, by the way, on this show. All right, so okay, Fast and Furious. All right, we're going to say, hey, 1 point for Ben. Now it's your turn. Here we go. Overrated, underrated. First one up. RTO policies, return to office. And I'm going to warn you, I'm standing in an office.
That's fine. I'm sitting at home. So I think you know my answer. I feel they are overrated.
Overrated. Return to office policies are overrated.
I think so. I think at this point, some companies are really trying to make a statement. I know of a company that it's asking even employees who were hired on remote basis prior to COVID, trying to get them to come back just to make a statement that everyone needs to be in the office. So yeah, I think it's overrated. What companies needs to do is just find strategies how to bring people together to be able to still innovate and brainstorm. I think Nike's CEO got a lot of backlash by saying how the creativity or innovation it's almost impossible in the type of environment, and some of the responses were around, well, you just didn't find a creative way to do that. Is that what you are telling us? So it's change. We need to keep up and we need to keep pushing to just adjust. Technology will always be driving change, and we can use it as we need it to fill in those holes.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you make some interesting points. And I mean, your point about people being hired on a remote basis and then being brought back to the office post COVID, if they were hired before COVID on a remote basis, is interesting. I mean, it's literally the case for relocation. People are hired in Indianapolis and then their job moves to, in Louisville, Kentucky. They gotta relocate for it, and I think in some ways RTO is kind of a micro, kind of that on a microcosm level. I get it. I think workers feel that it's unfair and possibly a little bit kind of arbitrary, if you will. Like, why are you saying I have to come back to the office? Like, why? What really burns my biscuits? What really burns my biscuits, Monica, is when CEOs say that everyone needs to be in the office, but they don't go to the office.
Yeah.
That I'm seeing that more often. I'm seeing more senior leaders who are quietly resisting the return to office thing. And that to me is, I don't know. That to me I have a real issue with.
Hey, you have to lead by example, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so RTO policies, I don't know. I think they're underrated. I don't know. All right, we got.
You might be wrong.
Yes, I love it. All right, here we go. All right, let's go. Let's go to the next one. Cross culture training.
Yes, so I think even my background, the answer, underrated. I feel that cross-culture training, it's really important to success of the assignment, especially for an expat, for a foreign national.
Besides Miami Vice, did you get any cross-cultural training?
No.
And you still managed to do good. You came over here, you
got
the job, you got the global mobility.
The au pair before me ran away in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night?
Yes.
Did they find her? Is she okay?
The stories I could tell, but I won't.
Well, that's what we're here for. We're here for the stories. I mean, we don't got to do the overrated, underrated. If you got true crime or something like that, I mean, let's do that instead. Locked up abroad. I mean, we're here for that. I think cross-cultural training is underrated. People don't really understand what it means. They don't understand the importance of it. It's hard for a person living in a culture to understand how difficult that culture is to navigate. I mean, it's like we speak English, here, and we think it's easy, and yet English is one of the hardest languages to learn, right? It doesn't make any damn sense, So,
what? Just to even see how important cross-culture training is. I don't know if you are into Emily of Paris or that's totally okay. Yeah. Second into third season, I think, when her boss arrives there from Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
that's a perfect example why cross-culture training is important.
Yes, that is a typical American arrives, thinks they know everything, thinks the culture will acquiesce to them, and that they, yes, 100%. And I would totally do that. Have done that. Have done that. Yeah, great point. Check out Emily in Paris. Hey, we're giving you all the spoilers, by the way. So if you don't want to know what happens in Emily in Paris, season 2, season 3, if you don't want to know what happens to Fast and the Furious 6, you know, just tune out now, okay? Because we're just getting into it. Yes, Annie says best show. Emily in Paris or Love and Relo? You probably mean Love and Relo season 5. Okay. Yes, you got that one right, Monica. Next one. RMC experience.
Underrated. I represent RMC experience. I've been with RMCs for 16 years, and I don't think that folks coming from RMCs are getting enough credit for our experience, for our skills.
Why? Why is that experience so important? What do they have that other people don't?
Yeah, so we get to work with multiple clients, accounts, corporations, personalities, programs, policies. We get to see it all. We work with vendors directly. We know the ins and outs. We know the fee structures. We know how to negotiate the contract. We know how things operate day to day on the RMC side, right? We have all that insider insight. But going through my journey of looking for work over the last few months before I rejoined Plus, it's something that I noticed as being maybe not always it's something that it's being looked for, because many job descriptions look for someone with in-house experience, while I think they are just truly missing out.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. I think you make an excellent point. You know, our RMCs bring best practices. You know, it's funny, corporate folks want to get together and benchmark. RMCs naturally benchmark, right? They have 30, 40, 50, 100 clients, right? They could tell you what the best practice is. They understand where the money's made in this business and where the money goes and where the margin is, where the opportunity is for better pricing, better relationships. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, better vendors. I think RMC experience is probably the best possible experience you could have if you go into a corporate role. The thing you don't have is you almost might get bored because you got one program, one policy to manage instead of all these different policies and potentially problems, you know, that you have to deal with as an RMC. But I think it's the best experience. You may not have some of the politics, right? Some of the you're going to interface with all of the senior executive team and high potentials in the organization, and it's going to be always your fault, and you're going to have to handle all the escalations. You know, you're under a bit of a microscope, and you don't always have the power and the autonomy to make those changes and fix it, which could probably be frustrating for a corporate person. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Monica.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Annie's got a question here for you, Monica, okay? Normally, we don't take questions during the overrated, underrated portion, but we always want to put the viewer experience first here. Annie Ream says, do you think RMC sales skills are easily transferable to a sales position at a moving and storage company? That's a good question.
So, to be honest with you, to me, because I was in sales, OMG, as a 16, 17-year-old, so I don't know if that really counts. But I feel it's about personality. If you can sell RMC services, you can sell other services. Okay. Because you have that personality, you have the connections, you understand the process in general, and the nitty-gritty. Each moving or storage company may do things different way. You will learn that. The day-to-day, the transactional, you will learn that, you will figure it out. So yes, I think that it's much easier to transition those skills from RMC than other way around, right? Someone who comes from moving and storage, they see only that piece of a puzzle. They don't see the full picture when it comes to the services that RMCs provide. So other way around may be more difficult. But
I like the point you make there. And also, I mean, Annie, in this situation, you're selling to corporate decision makers, right? And so if you can do that from an RMC standpoint, you could probably do it from a household goods standpoint. So, you know, I think it's very applicable and probably easier than, to Monica's point, the other way around. Good question, Annie. All right, let's keep it moving here. Next one. Diversity and mobility. Diversity and mobility, overrated or underrated?
Yeah, so I think again, I would have to say that it's underrated, because I just don't see that as much at higher level positions. Um, Maybe a little bit more on RMC side, but not as much on the in-house, on the client side roles. Like when I was a counselor, there was so much diversity at my level, right? But the moment you step into managerial roles, into like a director position, or even senior VPs, a lot of that it's American. So we don't, and diversity, I look at it as foreign national, someone with expat experience, someone who can really bring that insider's perspective, understand the emotions when building the program. So I think it's underrated. I feel like from what I've seen, so not to offend anyone, but I'm just speaking from my perspective and my what I've seen, especially over the last few months. I think we don't have enough of it in this business, which is interesting because programs are created by Native American, by someone who is American citizen, right? And doesn't have that experience of what that person feels, what that family may need.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So there's not enough multinational kind of background or foreign background, maybe at the senior executive position. There's not as much, racial diversity either at the senior executive level. So this has been something I've heard a lot, and I think it's important that we reflect the demography of our transferees and assignees. So yeah, really great, really great. Do we have one more, Adam? You're on a hot streak right now, Monica. Last one. This is controversial. Shipping household goods, overrated or underrated?
Well, I don't know. I think you are coming from that industry. You may not like my answer, but I'm saying it's overrated. I feel that companies are used to the program the way they know it, the traditional benefits, the home finding, the temp housing, the household goods. You need to ship your items. Well, if half of my furniture is from IKEA, maybe when I move to bigger house or wherever I go to, I don't need to ship that with me, right? So I think people right now are more flexible and we should provide that flexibility into our programs.
So is that a point system? Is that a lump sum? Is that a core flex program? Is that like, let's forget shipping household goods altogether? It's terrible for the environment and you don't want that IKEA dresser anyway? What's the answer, Monica?
Provide options, provide flexibility. And it's not one size fits all. Each program, each company has different needs, right? Each company has different values, they have different politics, they have different objectives. And lump sum, they may have a population, and lump sum, it's a great fit for that population. But it shouldn't be one size fits all. We should provide more diversity into the benefits that are being offered to transferees.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've always been a huge proponent of household goods shipping. All right, I came up from household goods. I've made shows about it. I've vilified people who are pro lump sum, right? And recently, I extended a relocation benefit to someone in our organization. And you know what I did, Monica?
You gave them a lump sum?
Oh, don't tell anybody. I gave him a lump sum. Give him a lump sum. Cut that part out. Cut that part out, guys. Yeah, but you know what's funny is they wanted to move a little bit of household goods. Just a
Yeah.
little bit. They wanted like a
Again, provide
dresser,
them diversity, right?
some
Provide them with
spatulas,
options.
maybe a teapot. And I'm like, I ain't getting a mover. I mean, I don't care what kind of deal Jose is giving me. I'm not paying for a mover on this deal, right? And they found a way, they found a more creative way to do it because they got to manage their own budget. And I think, I mean, otherwise it would have cost me like $3,000 to ship a few pieces, you know? And so I think that you make a really good point. As much as we don't want to hear it, you make a really good point. There's a practicality to it all. So, Monica, you've opened my eyes a little bit. I will say, gosh, I'm gonna actually go. You know what? You got me saying shipping household goods is overrated. You have done more. You have done more than you know, Monica. Okay, you have
Well,
successfully gotten 4 of these correct. You've challenged me, of which I've got 1 for 1, but I'm 100% by the way. So you know what? That's pretty dang good, Monika Cain. Good job.
well, I tend to be persistent and can negotiate. So put that into good use.
I
But
love it.
let
I
me
love
just
it.
clarify. I'm not saying I'm a supporter of lump sums. They just could be a population that they are appropriate for. But
Yeah.
shipment, it's not necessarily a solution to it all. So
Yeah. Thanks for everybody tuning in here. Hit that like button one more time. Rob Zeitz checking in here. Andy checking in. Hit that like button one more time. Monica, do you want to leave us with a final thought as we close out the show today?
oh wow, putting me on a spot at the end, and I did so well so
You
far.
just did 71 minutes. You can manage one final thought, Monica.
Well, I think don't judge the book by its cover. I know maybe another lame thing that I'm saying today after I said Poland is my favorite place to travel to, but just don't judge the book by its cover. I was judged plenty of times, mispronouncing things, looking young with accent. I'm still sometimes asked if I'm my daughter's nanny. So I'm a person that can proudly speak. I worked with some of the largest corporations in the world, and I will never take that for granted. So don't judge the book by its cover.
I love it. Sounds great. Monika Cain, it's been wonderful having you here. Thanks for sharing your perspectives and
Thank you
your
so much.
story.
Thank
Take
you
care,
so much for
everybody.
having me.
We'll see you tomorrow.